All right, Coach, Week 7, big win in Week 6. Obviously, we got a chance to talk to you after the game. Unbelievable feeling, unbelievable ending. Just give us some thoughts on the win.
Well, I had to come in Sunday, watch film, just make sure all that stuff happened. It's one of those games you wake up and you're kind of like, man, did all that just happen? And I can't say it's how we drew it up, but, you never really can ever know how a football game's going to go. I think, my feelings even the next morning waking up and just continue just how proud I am of our team that had a lot of chances in that game to just kind of concede and lay down. They just chose not to. They just kept fighting. Even in the second half, some of the adversity we still had with some of the mistakes we made to be able to keep grinding and digging out and then making plays when we needed to make plays. I mean, I think that's the sign of a healthy, good football team that can battle through adversity. We've seen all year us having the will to fight. So we haven't been able to get over the hump on a couple of those games, but to finally get one of those come up from behind wins this season, hopefully can be a pivotal time for us at this time of the season.
Obviously, 24th team in the country comes in. You guys wouldn't say it was like a must-win, but you guys wanted to get one, obviously, at home. And you mentioned 2 weeks ago, this team and this program, you want to get in the minds of other people outside of everybody that you want to be a winner here. You want to win at home. And you guys, set the tempo in the second half. Scoreless in the first half, 14-0 going into halftime. You guys just came out firing, and the passing game was there. It was just unbelievable game by the offense especially.
Yeah, great adjustments at halftime, even in-game adjustments a little bit, but at half kind of reassessing where we're at, both offense, defensively, and saying, okay, let's go to this and let's change this and to really get our hands in ball in the hands of our playmakers. That's what they did, and defense really stepped up too in some key drives and some key situations. And you just think of some of the little stuff. I keep visualizing the third down tackle of Grady Daniels in open field that doesn't convert a first down there, makes him punt, which is a tough tackle to make in open field. Little things like that where guys were stepping up all over that maybe you don't see on the highlight reel, but you realize that was a single play that kind of gives us a chance to put ourselves in position to win. So we had a bunch of those all over the field that maybe you don't even see until you watch film the next day. And it's fun to see your team playing like that. But, we've preached a lot about the home field. When you come to the Wood, this is our place, and take a lot of pride in playing at home, and that we really stake a territory and really have that sense of urgency when people come to our place to play. And I think our kids are resonating with that a little bit.
All right, Coach, you talked about getting the ball into the hands of the playmakers. Eric Henneman, great day with 11 receptions. Peyton Rose, Najee Jackson, just to name a few, all with great performances. So what style for you guys on offense against one of the best defenses, not only in GLVC, but also in Division II to put up 28 points on them?
Well, I think our first half issues a little bit were some protection stuff, and we've got to do better when you might be for example, we're preparing for a lot of 4-down line stuff that we'd seen. All of a sudden, they're showing up in a 3-down line with some pressure coming from different spots. Part of that is growing and learning as an offensive line that, hey, this is what we haven't seen all week. We're seeing something new. And so in the first half, we had guys open. We had stuff we needed to protect. Cade got his eyes down, was looking to scramble a lot. And I think once we kind of came back out and just said, hey, we're gonna get to our quick game and start getting the ball out quicker and get it's things that we learned too as a coaching staff of how we can prepare our guys. Sometimes you take for granted, and sometimes if you have a team that isn't there yet, you got to help manage that for them a little bit. It's just some signs of immaturity that you got to help them get recognize that stuff. And so that's our job as coaches to help them do that. So it was great coaching by our staff. I give credit to my coaches, just the adjustments they made, and then really gave a lot of credit to our players. There was never a non-belief in that game. Just the words on the sideline, and you could kind of hear the encouragement for each other, the offense toward the defense, and vice versa. Signs of a healthy team.
Eric Henneman, huge game, 11 receptions, over 60 yards, 3 touchdowns. You go to the final 3 minutes, or 3 or 4 minutes of that game, he gets the big touchdown with an amazing catch over the cornerback. He's a freak. Just the way he can reach over the top and catch the ball the way he can. You guys then get the huge onside kick, which you mentioned to me after the game. It was hard to see because it was a big pile, but Jared Stangler, the punter, goes in there and gets control of it. And then Cade and the offense march down. 6 seconds left, hits Eric. Did you know that pass was going to Henneman? It had to be.
Yeah, me and everybody else in the stadium. I think the DB that was guarding Eric knew it was coming to him, and I think part of the problem was he couldn't move when the ball snapped because he knew it was coming. I think in those key situations you got to go to your big time playmakers, and obviously that's what Eric's been and will be, and that's why he has a chance to go on and play after this.
So what does Eric provide for this offense? I mean, you can just go to him in the red zone anytime you want, but also you have so many other playmakers like we talked about earlier, and Rosen and Sutherland out of the backfield. Great game just a couple games ago. So what does Hinneman do for all those other guys in the offense?
Well, he does. I think he opens up a lot of that. I think there's a lot of attention that gets brought to Eric. I mean, I'm a little surprised in some of these games that we haven't even seen a little bit more bracket coverage or double coverage on him in situations. That's kind of surprised me a little bit. Being an old defensive coordinator, I know that I faced a lot of guys like Eric through the years where you had to spend a lot of time accounting for that guy and try to get them to throw the ball to other places. The problem is on this team with Peyton Rose and Najee Jackson, and you've seen Jaden Cole stepping up now at McKendree, especially when Eric was down. Nash out of the backfield. That's the nice luxury of the athletes we have on offense, is that if you do decide to just take Eric out of the ball game, it's really going to open up a lot of stuff. And the fact that some of our other guys have stepped up in those situations has helped our offense. I think that little stretch where we struggled in a couple of our losses where, Eric was too much of the comfort zone, or we needed other people to step up too and have Cade trust to go the ball to other spots too. I think sometimes there's a little blessing in the fact that Eric was out of game, trying to heal up a shoulder. But at McKendree, we saw some other people show up that because Eric wasn't out there. So I believe things happen for a reason. I think offensively that might have been a little blessing in disguise to see, that we had to go out there and perform without E on the field, because he does that he brings a lot of confidence to our team and to our offense, and he's an incredible team player. That's the thing. I think you guys have met him and seen him, been around him behind the scenes, and he carries that with him.
With an exciting win like that on homecoming, the crowd pumped up and everything, going into practice the week after has to be exciting, but also tough in regards to, you don't want to have a chip on your shoulder. You want to keep that same fight that you had in that game. So I guess how was the feeling in practice, and what was the message to the team?
We've just we're holding each other accountable a lot this year. We really trust each other. Like I said, Tuesday after about period 5, I just stopped practice, brought everybody up and said, hey, today, right now, the way you've started hasn't been the same of the last 2 Tuesdays, the last 2 weeks. In other words, humble yourself. We had a good win, but we've got a great team coming in here. And so we're going to stop practice right now, refocus. Let's not talk at the end of practice and wish we would have had all these periods back. So we broke and the guys went, and all of a sudden the energy picked back up. And so, I've just learned with this team, at the moment we see a problem, we've got to fix it right now, because they're very coachable, and they're not, they want to do well. So sometimes you just got to rein them in real quick and remind them, because, that's the next challenge is we're on a 2-game win streak, but it doesn't mean we've proven anything yet. We've done some good things along the way, but we still have a lot of things to accomplish. So they handled that really well, and kind of they sharpened back up, and we finished with a really good practice yesterday. So we want to carry that into today as well.
In the schedule, I mean, obviously we talk about all the teams you face this year are all competitive, but the next 3 weeks especially, you got Saginaw Valley coming to town this Saturday. It's going to be a nice home game. It's going to be another team, though, that was top 25 ranked, so obviously tough to play. Then you got to go on the road to Quincy and then come back and play U of Indy, top 10 team right now. So, I mean, what are you guys looking for as a coaching staff, to take that next step? You've said there's so many positives, but as looking at the positives, you always have to look at the negatives to get to the best you possibly can by the middle of the season. So what are some things you guys are really keying on here the next 3 weeks?
Well, when I took the job here at Lindenwood, I remember one of my first talks to, our team, for the very first time. And I've said this to recruits since then, and now we're year 3. And, I've said that, I believe that this program in Lindenwood could be at the national level, can be a contender, needs to be in the top 5 of programs in this country. And, I think the fact that when we did move to the GLVC and we have open dates, some people have questioned me or just in questioning, why did you do that? Why would you take this team and things like that to play? The reality is there's a lot of teams out in the country you just don't hear much about. Mm-hmm. They have good records. They finish the year well. They might even have a contend for a conference championship, but they don't really move on into postseason play. They've protected themselves a little bit with who they play. That's just the reality. And so I've said to this team, if we're going to be on the national level, if you want to compete for national titles and things, we have to play teams that are reparable, that have been in the playoffs, that have that reputation. And so, again, this is another program, Saginaw Valley, coming in that's been there, done that kind of deal with being on the national stage. And it's a great opportunity for us, and it keeps us sharp. And again, that separates those that do we want to just try to find teams that we feel like we know we can beat? Is that going to make us any better? Is that going to keep us sharp all week? Does that make us more mature? It's all probably opinions, but my opinion is we got to play the best that we can. Mm-hmm. So there's those two strategies in D2 to get to the playoffs. You got to have about as perfect of a record as you can. But if you're not playing really tough teams and you get to the playoffs, it's probably a moot point anyway. Right. So I'd rather, and our kids have bought into that. They're excited about this week to take on this football team.
With that team in Saginaw Valley, obviously one of the top teams in Division II to be ranked. They had a good offense. So your defense, however, just stopped a good offense in Truman State. They're running the ball over their teams coming into the game, and you guys held them, all three of their big rushers, under 100 yards individually. So what do you guys see from your defense that you want to see continuing against Saginaw Valley?
Well, it was a pretty simple game plan, to be honest with you. We've got very good athletes and football players, and I think some of the people that have struggled against Truman State, they run such a good operation. They're coached really well that they seize on your mistakes with all the movements they do and different looks they do. Sometimes they get you out thinking yourself. And so, the simplicity of our game plan of just doing your assignments, going to where you're supposed to go, and tackling well and running to the football, I think was a big key to that. We told our team all week that Truman is going to move the ball. That's what they've done. And to say, hey, let's not give up big plays. I think we lost. We gave up one big play on a missed assignment. It was a good example to a tight end. We just didn't get him covered because we had miscommunication back there. But again, for the most part, we eliminated the big plays that they've done in the previous games by a very good game plan by our coaching staff and Coach Inama and his guys. And playing good, solid football, and not getting discouraged when they convert some first downs and things like that. It's teams like that get frustrated when they're not scoring right away. It's kind of what they're used to doing.
And I guess it's kind of nice timing too to come off a week with an offense in Truman State that is very balanced. Saginaw is very balanced as well. Got a good passing game, got a good run game. Kind of going off Dom's question on the offensive side now, what are some things you guys want to do? You mentioned that no matter what defense you're playing, you guys like to focus on your game plan, not really worry about what they're going to show you. But what are some things you see from Saginaw Valley's defense that you want to attack?
Well, not going to give up too much of that. I doubt they're anticipating my podcast, but you never know. But
could have a scout in there somewhere.
You never know. So I would say the general. I'm trying not to do the coach speak stuff because I think I like to have fans engaged and understand behind the scenes what's going on. The first thing we always look at is just what's some weaker areas of a defense that we're seeing and identifying, and we feel like we've seen some. There's not a lot of them. They're going to be a defense that's going to visually look a lot like Davenport. They've got good athletes. They're very good up front on their defensive tackles. They were giving Grand Valley State some fits in the front on their offensive line, and so I think it's more about looking what we do. And the things, I think two philosophies in putting game plans together that people have. You put a game plan together to work around what another team does. Coach Avorka and my philosophy has always been is we're going to attack you with what we do and make you kind of adjust to that. So I don't think you're going to see a lot of differences in what you've seen in the last few weeks. But you always respect teams and what they do. You don't fear them. But right now, we've got to we got to recognize that they've got a good front four. They got a good front seven with their linebackers and stuff too. So you got to be able to take what people give you. But we're going to kind of keep doing what we do, with what's been successful and kind of make them adjust to what we're doing as well.
You guys have gone out and won on the road with that win against McKendree, and then you came back home and had that electric atmosphere last week for homecoming game against number 24 Truman State. So now going forward back at home, what do you guys want to prove at home in front of your home crowd and prove as a home team?
Well, again, it's just that, hey, it's another home game. We want to have the mindset where we just don't lose at home. It just doesn't happen. And so we've stressed that this week. We've also been going back to a one game at a time mentality. I found with this team, I kind of showed them a picture of on Monday in our team meeting of a road that goes out on the horizon until it goes to a point where you can't see it anymore. And it was funny because there was a lightning strike at the end of that picture. It's a cool picture. And I just put 159 on that road because that's the next program win that we're trying to get for this place. And in other words, I said, what's that lightning strike mean back there? And of course, a lot of great answers. It's like, well, there's some bumpy roads or there's going to be adversity. And I said, well, the thing about it is if you look too far ahead, you're going to get zapped is what you're going to do. So it's kind of that visual of, right now what's in front of us is win number 159. That's what we want to get and keep all of our focus on that. So again, I think they see on film when you push the play button, they're seeing a good football team. They see a team that played really well against Grand Valley State. Grand Valley State had to kind of win that at the end. So Grand Valley is it's a top 5 program in the country right now, I believe, at least top 10. And so the guys see that, but they know that they can play with anybody when they just play like we did in the second half. So we have been trying to figure every strategy we can to play 4 quarters of football. I think the first game where we kind of played 4 quarters pretty consistently was McKendree. But other than that, we've had these flashes. I think once they put it all together, I don't know if there's a lot of teams that can play with these guys if they just want to play 4 quarters. So, it's we'll give it a shot again on Saturday.
Saginaw Valley, the last non-conference team you guys take on this year, looking for that first win against non-conference. Mm-hmm. First of all, tell me your thoughts on trying to get, one game. We talked about, again, every team, it doesn't matter if they're conference or not, you guys are going to have the same game plan, but you guys obviously probably want to try to get one non-conference win. Oh, yeah. And then also, what's the focus and the excitement, I guess, about after this game, not trying to look past it, but getting ready for all conference throughout the rest of the season?
Yeah, it's just it's weird because this is the first time in my career as a head coach where I've played non-conference games outside of the playoffs. So every conference I've been in, every game was a conference game. So I probably don't pay as much attention to it because you're thinking, oh, this is a non-conference game. I've always kind of had the playoffs in mind, so every game matters. But right. I think I'm always, we've unfortunately had to learn valuable lessons from these previous games that you wish you wouldn't have had to learn, but it's going to help us for the future. The Midwestern game, just thinking back some things that we could have controlled, we didn't. We had to learn a valuable lesson. Davenport, again, not finishing, taking our foot off the gas and losing focus and being taught another lesson that, hey, it takes 4 quarters. But our kids have responded to those things. And I think now, like I told them, this is going to be a team that's very similar to Davenport, just visually and what they do and the athletes they have on the field. Because we knew Davenport had great athletes. We saw it on film. So I think they can see that and say, okay, we've kind of tied that comparison. Like, hey, very similar team, learn from the past. And now you're at home. They have to do a 9-hour drive and not us this time. So, take advantage of that. And again, it's going to tell us a lot about our team and where we're at. And I'm not one that puts a lot of pressure. I think, like I said, that's why we focus on being 1-0 each week. Mm-hmm. But these guys are smart enough to know that, for us to have any postseason stuff or anything going on, this is a must win for us, to keep some of those hopes alive. And so, haven't said it a lot to them. I think they already know.
Sure.
We just pour all of our attention into the next game.
So asking what-if questions can sometimes be a little bit difficult to answer. But so let's say, what if you guys do take down Saginaw Valley, great Division II program, and now are 4-3 overall in the season, got that first conference win, but back-to-back wins against 2 great teams that have top 25 talent. So what would that say about the Lions football team if you guys are able to pull it off?
Well, I think it goes to show that, we're headed the right direction. I think, we've seen I always look at, I came to Lindenwood with the mindset of taking this program to the national level. And so, we felt like year 3 could be a really pivotal year for us. I've had high hopes and still do. But I think the win last week, there's a lot of firsts for this program. This is our first back-to-back win in a really long time in this program. It's the first time that we've come, other than Missouri Western last year, we finally got over the hurdle of coming back and winning. Well, we did a lot of comebacks but didn't win. So every week's been some cool first-time things. You're seeing a team, we're a fairly young team. Across the board, we graduate some guys, but for the most part, we got a lot of kids playing in spots that, for the first time, they're young. Our future's very bright, so that the seeds that are being planted in this team of seeing games like happened last week or opportunities to play another top 25-ish type player team is another good building block. So it's a pivotal game for us, and it's another test that we have out there to say, hey, really, where is our team from a maturity level and a game prep? Because I believe skill-wise we can go out and beat this team. It's really what's between our ears. Are we learning those lessons? And we're just trying our best as a coaching staff to keep that in front of them.
Coach, final question. We got the cliche reporter question. What are some goals you got for Saturday, and how do you guys get a win?
Yeah, I'll try not to give you the cliche coach's answer, but I would say that I've asked them again. Let's play 4 quarters of football with the best effort you can give. I think we've changed the last few weeks. It's been about, I don't care about the score. I don't care about the scoreboard. I don't care how many points we score each quarter. I just want your best effort every time that you're on the field by each player to give everything you got. You're going to make some mistakes. All I care about is the best effort you can give, and let's let the chips fall where they may. And that's really our simplified goals that we've asked this team to do, and it's kind of worked the last 2 weeks.
Lions host Saginaw Valley on Saturday, October 19th at 1 p.m. at Hunter Stadium. Once again, if you cannot catch the game in person, you can catch it online, 891thewood.com, or on our broadcast on the FM dial with me, Dominic, and Jack Leach on 89.1 The Wood, and also on LUTV and the Lindenwood Sports Network. Coach, as always, man, appreciate your time. Can't thank you enough, and good luck Saturday.
Thanks, TJ. Glad having you here this week, Dom. Nice work.
It's good to be here.
Come listen to these guys, too.